What's up, everybody? It is time to talk about a huge preseason win as the Washington Commanders win 29-28 over our DMV rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. It is your co-host Brandon Scott and my guy Greg Sykes. We are going to talk about a lot of stuff, but primarily we're going to talk about Sam Howell. Is he our franchise quarterback? He's looking good. Jahan Dotson, is he poised for a breakout campaign? And there's a new spark with this franchise. What is it? We're going to talk about that more next. So, like I said, the Washington Commanders defeated the Baltimore Ravens 29-28, and I believe they snapped a 24-game streak for preseason. I'm not a big preseason guy, but I guess it's kind of impressive. 24 straight games, but not anymore because the Commanders took care of that. Now, the biggest catalyst for that win was our franchise quarterback, in my opinion, our franchise quarterback, Sam Howell. Now, looking at his stats real quick, Greg, Sam Howell, 19 for 25, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. So, looking at his stat line, looking at how he engages with his offense, looking at the fact that he's kind of a quiet leader. How excited are you for Sam Howell going into the regular season?
Let me tell you what, I the last time that I had this sense of how can I explain it? This sense of calmness, of calm optimism for a quarterback. Now, I let me preface this by saying I loved that first year with Robert Griffin III. That was a spectacular year, but when Kirk Cousins came in and he really after that Tampa Bay game and things just kind of start clicking for him, there was a sense that when I was watching him, I was like, this guy can play with anybody. Like I have the confidence that he can lead this team to win over anybody. And I had not had that confidence in any quarterback that has played in Washington since honestly, gosh, I mean, it's been years. I don't want to say going back to Mark Rippon because we had some decent guys since then. But fast forwarding through all of that, looking at Sam Howell last night, he just looks the part. And it's not just mannerisms and things like that. It is his play, is his poise. He just looks like he is light years ahead of what basically is supposed to be a rookie. I know he's in his second year, but only had that one game under his belt in the regular season. He really looks ready. Now, yes, provided the Ravens didn't play all of their defensive stars, and that offensive line played really well last night. But besides that, it doesn't matter. You play with whoever is on the field. And Sam Howell, man, I mean, he he was pitcher perfect. I mean, he threw strikes to everybody. I could only count maybe like one or two misses where it was his fault. If there was an incompletion, a lot of times it was a drop pass, and there wasn't many of those either. Because we're going to talk about Jahan Dotson, humongous night last night. Of course, Terry McLaurin. We do got to talk. We got to talk about him a little bit. Of course, the injury, but um, the same how. I agree. I think that he is our franchise quarterback. I think he is the perfect guy to start this new era in Washington with the new ownership. I think that he can be the face of this franchise and this cool and calm. The only thing that I would like to see from him, and it's going to come with time, and it's going to come with being seasoned and being in the league for a few years, is for him to really take charge, to get in people's faces when they don't do something right, and to really see that he's the guy that's in charge on the field. He's that silent leader, right? He's leading by examples and he's leading by action right now. So he doesn't really say a lot. And well, Kirk Cousins is kind of the same way. But Sam Howell, yes, I totally agree. I am 110% balled into Sam Howell. And honestly, I don't see how anybody at this point could doubt him. Maybe I am just wearing the burgundy and gold colored glasses, and they're probably bottle coat thick, you know. But I, honestly, I'm excited. What I saw last night, the stats he put up, he played. I mean, just outstanding. Some of the plays he made. I mean, I was just sitting there. I was just in awe. I was just really in awe.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you mentioned leadership, and I'm gonna say this that, I think the leadership he's portraying right now is what they need right now. They need a guy. They're having fun. I forget what play it was, but when they got in front of the camera and they were posing, and Sam Howell in there throwing. I mean, that's incredible, man. They are having fun. You got to, coming in one career start. He's got to be that quiet leader because you're not going to be that voice yet, especially with the vets. You got to earn that. You best believe when Tom Brady came in for Drew Bledsoe, nobody was trying to listen to him, but he built that respect over time, and I think he will.
Yeah.
You already hear high marks from Terry McLaurin, which is a vet who I think Terry McLaurin, he was a risk in. He was part of the Washington football team, and he's a commander, so he was part of all phases of this franchise. But you could say second, third stringers, but NFL season, very rarely are you going against a squad where it's 100% first stringers. Injuries happen. Every team has injuries. So, certain parts of the game, you're going to go against second stringers. And injuries get bad. You're going to go against third stringers. So, but his intangibles, I'm excited, man. Look, he can throw the ball. Now, I think his release does need to get faster. I will get on his release real quick. Does need to get faster, but he can throw a bullet. He's got an arm on him. He can throw a long ball. He's got accuracy. He's got poise in the pocket. I mean, if you look at him when he's playing, man, when he go through his progressions, he just has poise, man. It doesn't affect him. He just has that pocket presence. And then he can run. I mean, when he runs like a running back because he has vision. His footwork is just, and people forget. Here's the thing about Sam Howell is that people forget, he was a 5th round pick, but that's because De'Ami Brown went to the NFL and like 3-4 other Tar Heels went to the NFL. The year prior to that, he was a first round talent and he was slated to go to the first round. I mean, he is a first round talent, and the fact that, and I think a lot of talent, I'm not a talent, but a lot of kudos has to go to the front office. I'll say this about Ron Rivera. I know that, you can say, maybe he's on a hot seat, but last couple drafts weren't bad. I mean, if you look at, I'm just saying, like Sam Howell, 5th round, in hindsight, you're looking like, wow, because he's it. He's a franchise guy. He can run, he can throw with power, he can throw for accuracy. He has all the tools. In baseball, they call it a 5-tool player, man. A guy who can hit for average, hit for power, field, so on and so forth. He's got it. I believe he is definitely that franchise quarterback that we've been looking for a minute now. I mean, since we had Alex Smith, since we had RG3, since we had Brad Johnson. I mean, the list goes on. We have tried to find a franchise quarterback, and either it was inconsistency or in Gus Farrar, he ran his head into a daggone wall. But there's many factors, man. But I think we really found a prospect that can be that guy we're looking forward to years down the line. Barring injuries and anything, anything's insignificant, or significant. I'm sorry. But looking at his stat line, I mean, limited action. He's just efficient. Efficiency is the name of the game. I mean, it's like in basketball, you hear more about efficiency. Shots and attempts, but in football, as far as quarterback, he's efficient. Very few bad throws. Looking at the quarterback real quick, I'm not too low from. If he needs to come in and be a backup, I have no problem with that. He has looked pretty good in preseason. I think out of the quarterback group, if anybody has kind of looked bad, I'm not gonna say too bad, but Jacoby Brissett, man, with the interceptions, you don't expect a lot of these throws that he's throwing as a vet. So I like to see him, especially as a backup, because injuries happen and he can step in and start. But I like to see more consistency out of him. But going back to Sam, man. Wow. I'm so impressed. I'm looking forward to this Bengals game, man, which I don't know if he's even going to play. You're probably going to see Brissett and Fromm more. Yeah, he's not going to play. But,
no.
I mean, you say what you want about preseason. I get it. Not a lot of, I forget what lineman says something about it, but I'm trying to think if it was Sam Cosmi or but they asked him and said, what do you think about this 24-game list? He said, I don't care. It's preseason. I don't care. But you can't deny that. I mean, there was 59,000 people at FedEx. People were excited. And Stephen A. Smith on First Take, he said something. Oh, why are y'all excited? It's a preseason game. You must not realize who our owner was the last 20 years, man. I mean, there is a electric attitude as far as Commanders fans right now because Dan Snyder's gone. We have a whole new ownership. The team looks good. I mean, this is probably the best team we've seen in DC for a while. I mean, the defense, I think, is going to be a top 10 defense. This receiving group, to me, is a top 10 receiving group. I mean, Terry McLaurin is going to be that stud. Jahan Dotson is going to break out. Cole Turner is going to be that guy tight end. The list goes on. I mean, you got Curtis Samuel. Antonio Gibson is a nice change of pace back. If Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson are going to destroy opponents on the ground, man, between Brian Robinson and him between the tackles and Antonio Gibson doing what he does best. So, I hate to ramble, but I'm just excited, man, because I get it's preseason, but this was a really, really sexy win, man. And Sam Howell, look, I'm behind him. I'm ready to see what he can do in the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. There is definitely no shame in being this excited over Sam Howell. Yes, I know it was preseason, but look at all of those preseasons we had where we're sitting there and we're making excuses because, well, you know what? They're just playing a vanilla offense. These guys will be okay during the regular season. Don't get too excited. I mean, I don't care that we lost 44 to nothing. We're just looking at situational football. We're not looking to actually win football games. And so we had, as Washington fans, we had to program ourselves for all these years, to not be that excited over preseason. Meanwhile, you've got teams like Baltimore who are perennial winners year in and year out who we're on a 24 game win streak in preseason. And yeah, Hardball was saying a lot of that was luck, but some of it wasn't. And you think that they were not proud of having that winning streak in preseason? Of course they were proud about that. They were being asked about that on the sidelines. What does this win streak mean to you? None of them said, we don't care. No, none of them said that. They were like, it really shows you how deep we are, that we can put our third, fourth stringers in there and we got a better quality team than anybody else. And so they had that attitude. And so it meant something to Baltimore to have that win streak in the preseason. And it meant, I think, just as much for Washington to come in there and end that, because I think it was just that perfect thing of everything coming together, of just this franchise being in chains for the last 20 plus years, and this new renewed sense of hope, and just the players feel it, the fans feel it. You saw last night there was this comparison that they had with training camp in 2022 and training camp this year. You had training camp 2022 where it looked like you had a couple of lawn chairs out there, no one was sitting in it. They were probably over at the porta potties and very sparse people. And then the comparison to 2023, and all of these people were there. Like, it looked like a packed house. I mean, people were excited. I mean, you went for a day or two, and so you kind of understand how it was. And so there's just a difference. There's an excitement all around. And you talk about the quarterbacks. I want to touch on that as well. Not just, of course, Sam Howell, but yeah, looking at Jacoby Brissett last night, he struggled. He struggled a lot. He was very off on his throws last night, threw some picks. He was high on his throws. He's just way off the target. He just really looked at his sink last night. Now, I don't know if that was because, you get this in your head that you hear the news that, no, you're not going to be the guy. And so that does something to your confidence. Maybe that's what it was, because the week before that, I thought Brissett looked pretty good. But then coming in last night, he looked awful. He really looked awful. And then, Jake Fromm coming in, and he made the most of his opportunities. I mean, he drove Washington down for that 2-minute offense, which honestly, I mean, I saw him. He's like he's trying to hurry everybody up, and I'm like, slow down. You got plenty of time. Don't rush this. And he had a few chunk plays that he was trying to get, and I was like, you don't have to get all this. He almost made some brilliant passes there, some brilliant catches to the receivers, but still drove them down and put them in a situation where they were able to kick the 49-yard field goal to win the game. Jake Fromm made the most of his opportunity. Honestly, for me, I would look at guys like that. But then again, Brissett, he yes, he's been a journeyman, but he is somebody who you can depend on, and it's more than just what you see on TV. It's how that he you know composes himself any other time, any other situation in practice around the other players, probably helping to coach up the other players and probably helping to coach up Sam Howell too. So, a lot of this could be as well Brissett's influence on Sam Howell. So it's a lot of things like that that us fans don't really see. So but yeah, overall, I was excited with Jake Fromm. Of course, excited about Sam Howell. Not very excited with Brissett. Was disappointed because I really felt that he could play much better than that. And I think probably next week it's probably going to be Brissett and Fromm playing in the last preseason game, and I expect Brissett to come out and play better. I think he will. I think he was very frustrated. Um, you mentioned Brian Robinson. I thought he was very impressive. He just looks strong. Antonio Gibson looked really good. Um, of course, I have to bag on Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez, that fumble was
Yeah,
terrible,
yeah.
led to points. But you know what? You know what I will say? He came back strong that next series, and he ran great. He really tried to make up for sins on that last series. So that's one thing that I really like seeing out of Rodriguez. He's young. I mean, Antonio Gibson, we know about his fumbling issues in his first year and some in his second year as well. So, um, you know, things like that can be coached up. But overall, solid with the running backs. The Jarrett Patterson came in and he had that hard fault last few yards, got his face mask pulled as he went into the end zone. I've always liked Jarrett Patterson, think he's an undrafted player. Just overall, and you talked about the receivers. Of course, Jahan Dotson having such a great night like he did. Terry McLaurin was having a really good night as well until he had that toe injury. Uh, Luckily, it was not broken. I haven't been able to hear any up to date today. I don't know if it was turf toe or whatever, but certainly he was injured. But it doesn't look like it's going to be anything that's going to keep him out. Hope not, anyway.
Nah, from what they've said, man, it's not supposed to be a long-term injury. I think he should be ready for week 1. It was a toe injury. I thought it was gonna be ankle injury, but
Yeah, me too.
But I mean, kind of looking at the wide receiver group, man, like you said, depth's a good thing. I definitely think that Jake Fromm from State Farm, I think he's gonna be solid, man. He's definitely looked good, man. But
he didn't sound hideous last night at all,
not,
did he?
Not at all. I mean, he looks solid, man. But and then
did.
going back to running backs, depth's a good thing. Jared Patterson,
Yeah.
he's got some wheels on him. Rodriguez, I think is gonna be fine. And obviously AG and Brian Robinson, they're gonna be a perfect tandem in the backyard that is really gonna do some things this season. But let's talk about this receiving group, man. We know what Scary Terry can do, but Jahan Dotson, I think the biggest thing that impresses me about Jahan Dotson, especially last night, because his stat line, man, 5 catches, 76 yards, man. His footwork, he could do a clinic on footwork. He's got some of the best footwork in the NFL. I mean, the biggest thing about receiver, receivers, some receivers just blazers, man. Deshaun Jackson just ran. He just got open.
Yeah.
Randy Moss was just known to just run past the defense. But there's some guys who are just known to be footwork guys, man. Jahan Dotson, his footwork, his hands, is just incredible. And then, looking at De'Ami Brown and Curtis Samuel, a lot of people don't talk about Curtis Samuel and De'Ami Brown, but De'Ami Brown is starting to really catch eyes now. He's starting to look good. The chemistry with Sam Howell really shows. And Curtis Samuel, being the Swiss Army knife, he's going to do some things. Him and Antonio Gibson, man, I'll be very intrigued to see how Eric Bieniemy uses them in the offense. But my question to you is this. Looking at Jahan Dotson and him being a breakout candidate, do you think that the Commanders can have 2,000-yard receivers?
Absolutely. Now we need to go back and look at what my answer was, because I know that you asked me this question probably a few videos back, and I probably stumbled on that and said, well, maybe. Now, after being able to watch some football, there's no reason why that Jahan Dotson can't be a 1,000-yard receiver along with Terry McLaurin. I think the only thing that's going to stand in the way, honestly, is if either one of them has any time away from, because of injury or whatnot. Otherwise, if they are able to be in there for at least, the majority of the season, they're going to be 1,000-yard receivers easily. Now, the question is, can we have 3 1,000-yard receivers? Because, honestly, we're so loaded. You talked about De'Ami Brown. He looks like a different receiver with Sam Howell in there. And that's because of the chemistry they had going back to their days at UNC. Not Blue Devils, like I said before. UNC. I got my blue mixed up there, my Carolina blue. But he looks so different, and he looks confident. That catch he made in the end zone there, that was not an easy catch to make for De'Ami Brown. That is not a pass that I would throw to somebody like that. I'd probably throw that pass to someone really huge, big and tall, like a tight end. But De'Ami Brown was right there and he caught it. And so, yeah, I would say it's a shoe-in. Barring injury, it's a shoe-in that you're going to see 2,000-yard receivers on this team this year, with a possibility that you're going to have a third that's going to come very, very close. Very close. Because as you can see with Eric Bieniemy's offense, he's going to be everything that Ron Rivera said that we were not going to be. It looks like it's more of a pass first type of offense. At least that's what it looked like to me. So by saying that, you're easily going to see these receivers racking up the yards as the season progresses. And the only thing is they're going to be enough to spread the ball out. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, De'Ami Brown, Curtis Samuel. That's 4 guys right there right off the bat. And, we got some other guys who are trying to fight to make the team as well. So I tell you, could be the present day posse foreman. It could be. I hope that's not blasphemous to say, but I've been waiting for that present day posse for a long time. No offense to Garcon and Deshaun Jackson and our boy Tana, but I love those guys. I really did. But let's just face it. You knew back in the 80s, you're going to face Art Monk and Gary Clark and Ricky Sanders, and any one of those guys can light you up. And now we have guys on this team like that. Any one of those receivers can light people up. And I can't stand it. I want to watch more football. I want to watch them. Can we just fast forward and just get into the regular season now? I'm ready, man. I am ready.
Oh man, I'm definitely ready. But you bring up a really good point. Yeah, I definitely think that we could have 2,000-yard receivers. Now 3, I don't know. I think you got to distribute the ball so much. I don't know if we're going to get 3, but I definitely think that Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin can both be 1,000-yard receivers. But we talk often about this defense, and don't get me wrong, the defense is nasty. I think the defense, you're going to see a really rejuvenated Chase Young. I think the defense is going to be top 10, but this offense under Eric Bieniemy, last year Scott Turner he was stagnant. He was so predictable. You just he just
He put me to sleep.
oh my,
There
I
were
mean,
he just put me to sleep. It was like, when I looked at him, I had flashbacks of his daddy on the sidelines, and I was just kind of like it. I actually stayed up at night some nights with that. I mean, I was just like, yeah, he was. You're right. He was so predictable, and then when he was unpredictable, he would throw in those plays that were like, "What did you do that for? That didn't work." And so, yeah. To your point, Eric Bieniemy, that guy knows how to call a football game.
yeah, but we're stacked on offense, man. I mean, look, I
Hmm.
mean, think about every scenario you can think of in a football game. I mean, you got two wide receivers on the outside, man, who, I mean, between their hands and footwork, I mean, probably one of the best tandems in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would, this is my opinion. I know people are going to talk about, Smith and AJ Brown in Philly, and there's other examples, but these two are going to light up on the outside. But Curtis Samuel can be used in so many different ways. De'Ami Brown, he has taken a step forward this year, in my opinion, so far. We ain't hit the regular season yet, but what I see right now, De'Ami Brown is definitely poised to take that step forward. But I mean, even Antonio Gibson is another Swiss Army knife because that's a guy who, as a running back, he's got some wheels on him. He
Yep.
really dealt with the fumble issues. He's a legit back. Brian Robinson's that bruiser, man. He's like John Reagan's, man, hitting through the line, man. He's just tough. I mean, I forget what game I was at, man, where he loaded his shoulder pads, man, and he drove a guy back 5 yards. I mean, the dude he's a bruiser at running back. But we have so many tools in his offensive tool bag. Even with tight end, we got Cole Turner, who, as a tight end, has some wheels. He can definitely get yards after the catch. But then, if you look at the other, I mean, John Bates, I get it. He's going to do some good blocking, but, but I mean, the list goes on. You have a lot
Yeah.
of talent in this offense. Now, right before we go, we're going to talk about the O-line real quick. Now, the O-line was a question mark going into preseason and looking forward into the regular season. But last night, they did not look so bad. Now, do you think this offensive line can be at least average to allow this offense to flourish this year?
I think it really depends on how fast that this team gets off, the season out of the gate. Can they string together some wins? Because that's what gives you confidence in your football team. There's going to be some growing pains with this offensive line. And I think I said it before that I think they can, but I think it's going to take a few games for them to really gel and really start to kind of understand working together, their tendencies, and all that stuff. A lot, of course, whenever that you replace your center, that's a huge thing. Your center's helping the quarterback to call protections and things like that. And early on for Sam Howell, he needs that. He needs a good veteran center who's going to help him to call protections. We did see a breakdown like that last night where a guy just came barreling through, was not touched whatsoever, and that was definitely a breakdown in protection. You're gonna see that as a lot in the beginning. You're probably going to see Sam Howell running for his life in the beginning of the season, but you also saw last night when pushed. I mean, the offensive line, they did have some guys in there who were able to really form nice pockets around Sam Howell, was able to let him have the time to read through his progressions. And now there were a few times where this is the downfall of Sam Howell, where sometimes he does hold the ball too long and takes a sack. He's just going to have to grow through that. But, having said that, there is some talent there, and there is an opportunity for this offensive line to improve and to play well. And they played really well last night. They even opened up some good running lanes last night as well. So it really, and I know people are going to say, well, it's because Charles Leno didn't play last night, and he didn't. But I don't know if it was because Charles Leno sat down. Um, I just think that you do have some guys on there who can who can play well, but finding the right group who are going to be the starters and who can really gel together. Um, it's all going to come together. It's going to take a few games, but I do think that it can at least be average. And right now, that's probably okay because when you have the weapons that we have, and when you have somebody who knows how to see the talent that he has on the field and he knows how to utilize them to their strengths and knows how to mask those weaknesses, then I think that that's what you're going to see. You're going to probably see a lot more shorter passes, some slant passes, things like that, getting the ball out of Sam Howell's hands much quicker. Of course, some of those option runs and things like that. So you're going to have a lot of plays like that. That's going to help to open things up. It's going to help that offensive line while they're trying to gel. And to answer your question, I think that they can be good enough to be average. I still think they need that one lockdown superstar left tackle, and hopefully that guy will come next season. But I think the other guys are okay. But it is, I will say I was pleasantly surprised last night to see how well that the offensive line performed.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Leno is going to do his job this year, but I think long
He's going to
term,
do Leno.
yeah, he's going to do his job. And shout out to to Charles Leno. He came in, he did his
Yeah.
job, but I think longevity wise, going forward, we got to look for that long term left tackle. But I'm with you. I think they're going to be average. I think there's just so much talent on this team. So we're gonna go ahead and call it there for the night. We definitely appreciate everybody. The mojo is flowing in Chocolate City. So I'm trying to tell you, the 202 is very, very excited right now. And look, we ready for some Commanders football. So now we definitely appreciate you guys. Definitely celebrate. I know it's preseason, but there is some electricity in the building over at Commanders Park, man. I'm trying to tell you. So, wherever you get your podcast, definitely give us a 5-star review. It is much appreciated. Um, definitely like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when dope videos like this come out. The schedule for us is actually we would like to release videos Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Going into the regular season, we're going to be doing reviews and recaps of each regular season game and playoff games. But things happen. We're both family men. So look, but definitely that's why the notification button is that key item for you guys.
Yes.
So when we drop videos. But again, hail to the Commanders. This is a huge, huge win. I know it's a preseason, but you have not seen excitement like this for Commanders football in a long time. So it's a new era. And again, we appreciate you guys. So hail to the Commanders and peace. Everybody have a good night. See you next time.